Now, unlike if they were working with you in an office where you can control the tools that they're using and also, of course, the internet, when you're working with someone online, there is usually that problem that will sometimes come up where their electricity is gone or the internet's gone. Hey there, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal is at this video is to be able to show you what are the common problems when it comes to working with a virtual assistant and how to solve them. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lai Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own outsourcing company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, a lot of the videos that I have on my channel talk about how to hire assistant, how to work with assistant, but I really wanted to create a video on how to solve different problems that will come up as you work with your new VA. Now, if you guys want to watch those videos, I'll put the whole playlist right here, but basically for this one, I'll be focusing on just what are the things that will come up as you work with someone who is not in front of you, not in an office with you, and they're working probably from home or from a co-working space. Now, the first common problem that you usually have to really face and focus on is just infrastructure. Now, what I mean by infrastructure is their internet, their workspace where they're working basically. Another one are tools that they're using as they're working with you. Now, unlike if they were working with you in an office where you can control the tools that they're using and also, of course, the internet, when you're working with someone online, there is usually that problem that will sometimes come up where their electricity is gone or the internet's gone. So a very recent example is about 2 weeks ago as of this filming is Super Typhoon Odette actually just went through Cebu City, whole of Cebu and a lot of other different cities throughout the Philippines, and our whole team just has not had power for 2 weeks. They don't have internet there. They're currently looking for different ways to find co-working spaces and office spaces just so they'll be able to work. And this is something that you need to iron out with your virtual assistant, whether they're from the Philippines or another country, because it will happen. You know, natural calamities, you can't really stop anything, or there could be political stuff. So having infrastructures in place where you can find other ways that they can still work. So this could be in a form of making sure that they have a coffee shop or a co-working space that they can go to as backup. It could also just be a case of making sure that you have standard operating procedures in place and documented of what are things that they do for you. So if in case that you don't hear from them because something happened, then you have backups on making sure that someone else could take over or you could do it temporarily while they're gone. Another way that you can take care of the infrastructure problem is to just prepare. If they know ahead that they're going to lose electricity or internet, then making sure that they schedule social media posts in advance or go through emails and make sure that there's some kind of autoresponder. That way things don't fall through the cracks right away. Another problem that you might be facing when working with a virtual assistant is just privacy. You're not sure, if their computers, that they're the only one using that. You're not sure if your messaging or the tools that you're using are going to be safe with them, and that is a common fear that I see a lot of people who are hiring. Now, the way that you can solve this is by having different shared spaces where you can easily remove your assistant if need be. Not just with their security at their home, it could be that someone actually hacked their computer while they were working at a coffee shop or co-working space. You never really know. So you want to have a place where you can easily kick them out per se, if hopefully it's not their fault, where you can securely save your files. So using tools like Google Drive or using tools like 1Pass or LastPass where you can share passwords securely are different ways that you can help make sure that there's that level of privacy when it comes to working with your assistant. And of course, there's just explicitly saying or having them sign a non-disclosure agreement where it can be outlined what are the different things that you want to make sure are private as they're working with you. Next common problem that I see when working with a virtual assistant is just not giving the right task. I've done so many videos on this that this is a common problem that I see, is that entrepreneurs or new employers will just throw anything at their assistant hoping that they can do it, but in a lot of the cases, it can't be done. You can't expect your assistant to become a unicorn where they can just do everything in your business. The reason why you're hiring someone in the first place is that you can't do it by yourself, correct? So the way that you can solve this is by, one, assessing what your tasks are. What are the tasks that only you should do? What are the tasks that your assistant should be focusing on? Now, again, I have a whole video on how to delegate the right tasks to your virtual assistant that you can watch, and you can hopefully get the clarity to avoid this becoming a problem later on. Another way that you can solve this is by having a task database where you can see where everything is at. You can check why is a task taking this long? So then you can talk about it with them, like, oh, they actually have this bottleneck. So the tasks problem isn't just knowing what tasks to delegate, it's also to make sure that they actually finish it and get to the end point. Next common problem that I see employers have when it comes to working with virtual assistants are tools. Basically not having the right tools, or even the lack of tools, the lack of the proper tools for the assistant to be able to work. Now, of course, how to solve this is, one, doing an assessment of all of the tools that you have right now inside of your business. So then you have a way to see where everything is at. Two, actually seeing the usability of the tools that you currently have. Before you add in any more tools inside of your business, you want to assess and actually see if they're being used. And then next, going to be looking at the tasks and projects that your assistant is working on and actually seeing if they have the right tools to keep moving forward, especially without you. Is of course making sure that you're working with the person who's actually going to be using the tools, rather than just assuming that it's going to be the best for them. Next common problems that I see a lot of entrepreneurs face when working with virtual assistant is just communication problems, or just miscommunication in general. So this is something that I see a lot when a virtual assistant and their new manager are just starting out, they're just starting to work out, and there's just this weird friction of the assistant not being able to say what they need to say, or the manager just assuming that the assistant should know something. One of the different ways that you guys can solve this is, one is just having a quick way that you guys can reach each other. Usually communication issues happen because the assistant isn't comfortable enough to reach out to you in case you're super busy. So giving them a way that, hey, if anything urgent comes up, this is where you message me, everything else you message me here. So just having different channels where you guys can communicate in that level of urgency or importance as they come up will really help. The next one is then scheduling a way that you can routinely sync or talk to each other without having to miss each other. So what I mean by this is, for example, inside of 2XU, in the first 2 weeks that a client is working with us, we have their assistant actually set up daily calls, even just 15-minute calls with their clients, so then they can be both trained and at the same time they're matching their communication styles with each other, so that it's going to be easier for them to work later on. And then even beyond that, we have weekly meetings with the client, so then both the client and the assistant are on the same page on what needs to get done, what needs to be focused on, rather than each just working on their own. And this brings me to another problem that I see, which is basically having troubles nurturing their work relationship or that loyalty. Now with our Scale You formula, we talk about having a loyal second brain assistant, and one of the ways that you do that is just literally what I said earlier, which is just checking in on them. Beyond just having a sync time or a tool to be able to talk to each other right away, also really important that you check in with your assistant, especially in the first 3 months, to see if there's anything that you can do, to see if there's anything that need help with, because then they're developing that sense of being able to be comfortable enough to talk to you about different things as, again, they come up in the work or business place. Another problem that I see a lot of our clients face is just lack of clarity. So a lot of the time when you're hiring a virtual assistant, you'll think like, okay, this is the only task that they'll be doing, this is the only headache that they'll be solving for me. But in the long run, as you're working more and more with your assistant, it's important that they have clarity on where the company is going, where you're leading them. The reason why this is so important is it's going to be so much easier for you, especially, to be able to motivate your assistant to keep going if they know where you guys are actually headed. So giving that clarity and working with your goals, your company goals, and your assistant's goals, not just one-sided, is one way that you guys can build loyalty, can solve that communication problem, again, have that clarity to keep moving forward. Another problem that you usually see when it comes to entrepreneurs working with virtual assistants is just a little bit of work ethic differences. So what I mean by this is, as an entrepreneur, you know that you will do anything for your business. You will work 80 hours a week if you can. You'll probably work more than that if you can. But in reality, your virtual assistant should never be expected to. Yes, they'll be dedicated. Yes, they'll be loyal to your business, but there should be a clarity of what is actually expected from them versus you just expecting things to happen. There needs to be that boundary and that clarity of what are the ways that they can show up in the best way that you will appreciate, that will help your business the most. So make sure that you have that talk with your assistant to show them, okay, this is what I expect from you. If you do more than this, I will be super grateful. Another way to solve this is by talking about your company values and your personal values and your assistant's values. That way you guys are aligned in some way of where things are at and how to reconnect if problems do come up. Another problem that I also see is being able to effectively monitor their time and the work that they need to get done. So earlier I talked about having a task database so you can see what are the tasks that are being done or the tasks that they might be stuck with. Another way that you want to make sure that you are tracking them is using tools like Hubstaff or even just a Google Sheet so you can see what are the hours that they're working with. Because the reason why you want to do this is, as an employer, you want to of course make sure that they're actually getting the work done. And of course, there's different systems that you guys can set up for this, but simply having a way where they can update you regularly on what are the things that are happening is just a quick fix for this. So for us inside of 2XU, we have something called a daily report where every end of day, an assistant is supposed to send a daily report to me and the client, so then we know what they're working on and if they're stuck with anything else. And one of the biggest problems that I see when it comes to entrepreneurs working with virtual assistants is productivity, is making sure that the assistant stays motivated, is making sure that the assistant knows what they're supposed to be doing next. And surprisingly, the productivity problem can easily be solved by solving all of the other problems that I just mentioned. It's making sure that you guys have really good communication. It's making sure that they have the clarity to keep moving forward because they know where the company is going. It's making sure that they have the right tools, the right infrastructure. They also have the resources to keep moving and growing themselves beyond just the work that you need them to get done. In order for your assistant to really succeed, you really need to give them whatever it is that they need. So just keep that in mind, that your assistant can really only rise up to the level of productivity to how much resources and how willing you are to invest in them, especially in those first 30 to 90 days, because then that will pay you back tenfold. I've seen this happen so many times where as an assistant gets more and more confident within themselves because we're giving them the right resources, they're able to rise up, and I'm hoping that your assistant will rise up too. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button right there and comment below what are different problems that you face with virtual assistants and how did you solve them. And if you guys still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. You guys can check out those two playlists right here and the newest video right here. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!